Welcome back to Bleach, Anime Review episode number 12. We are reviewing the very first episode of the long-awaited adaptation of the final arc of the Bleach manga, Thousand Year Blood War. Which basically, by episode count-wise, this is also episode 367 of the anime for Bleach. Now, a little bit of background on this particular before I talk about the episode itself. Like, prior to release this episode, which was actually last month, by the way, this is the first new thing for the anime released in 10 years. Now, I have heard reasons why the series ended. Somebody trying to contact me? Oh, anyways, yeah, so the reason I heard, and this was a variety, there was a couple different reasons why I heard why the Bleach anime ended. One, due to low ratings. That is one reason I heard why it ended with the Fullbringer arc. And two, people found the arc be quite confusing. Yes, I don't really know why. It is like somehow Fullbringer was confusing people. And that apparently caused the anime to get canceled. And there were some people, one of whom I'm going to name him because this is a guy who begged, who really wanted to see this anime come back, James Hansen. I'm not afraid to say this guy's name. The guy basically, he also apparently was trying to get people angry with the fact that apparently he wanted, the rumor I had heard, apparently he wanted the show to go Disney Plus fully, all the way. But that apparently didn't happen. That was a rumor that I heard recently before they finally released. They finally announced where you can watch the damn show, which I have got to put the blame on this on Viz Media. I'm not blaming Studio Parrot for this. This is not their fault. This is Viz Media's fault for waiting until 1 week prior to the release of this damn series. That's why I say, oh yeah, you can actually stream it here in the United States on Hulu, but internationally on Disney Plus. There's a problem with that. There's a lot of countries don't have Disney Plus. One of whom happen to be freaking Canada. They don't have Disney Plus up there. So, a friend of mine who does like Bleach, and he apparently can't watch it up there. Nope. Also, I heard a bit of controversy surrounding somebody trying to watch the sub on Crunchyroll. Yes, apparently mid-episode, he made a ruckus on Twitter, I heard he did this. Mid-episode, there was an error. He was, I think he was maybe either halfway through the Fullbringer arc or the season before this one. He was halfway through the episode, and there was an error. Maybe some marked at the network, and he refreshed it, and then apparently the series just disappeared. It was removed from Crunchyroll without any announcement that it would be removed. Yes, this happened. I have no idea why the hell this happened. It just did. It was by far one of the most baffling things I've heard. Now here's the thing. I'm not worried about watching on Crunchyroll because I own the entire damn series. Yes, it took me 2 years, but I eventually got the entire original series, all 367 episodes on DVD, along with the 4 frickin' movies. I did not get the OVA because that was not released over here. I did watch that some other way. But that's the explanation relates to that. I did watch originally the entire original series on Hulu. I wasn't worried watching Crunchyroll. I watched the entire series all dubbed on Hulu, and yes, I had to deal with the commercials. And it was something I enjoyed watching. I watched this 5 years ago, and well, I got it all done. At the time, I didn't have a job like I do now. A job at basically it's kind of March, marked 5 years I was hired there. Yeah, at the time, I didn't have a job. I believe I watched this back in March of 2017 when I watched the show originally. And I got the whole show done. I basically was bench watching this like crazy. And I got it all done. I think it took me just shy of just a little over a month to get this show done originally. Especially since the 14th season is freaking long. It's like 60 freaking episodes. I think it's like a couple episodes longer than like the 20th season of Naruto Shippuden. Yes, that's how long a damn thing was. And it took me like about 4 days to get through this damn thing. And also, when I reviewed the series originally, I will probably do a re-review of it later. When I reviewed the seasons, I basically one season at a time, or at least a couple seasons at a time, and the original because I watched it whenever I finished watching a season. That's the way I did things 5 years ago. Some people might think it's quite dumb because I changed my format on how I review anime. And I basically use some format now, format I review Super Sentai, and of course do it for Kamen Rider and Metal Hero stuff. But back then, I did review the first two seasons in one video. If you watch that original video, you probably noticed for a period of about 15 minutes, the camera stares at an empty chair. There is a reason for that, because my sister-in-law, when we're living in my previous house, decided to interrupt me mid-video. My dad doesn't even do this all because even he knows basically in terms of my recording these videos is quite rude. And she wanted me to stop my video despite the fact I don't have a pause function. I've tried to explain this to my mom for any video. Like, oh, put your picture recording on pause. It is impossible. These type of videos basically don't have that function. I'm not telling exactly what my video program is per se, but all I have is a start and stop function. I do not have a pause function when it comes to recording these videos. I can't pause a recording. It's impossible. So I had to help her out, unload her freaking trailer, which, by the way, recently my brother told me they recently sold that trailer. Yeah, a trailer she used to transport LuLaRoe stuff. Then they originally got that trailer through my grandmother, who was living up in New York, down here. That's been an explanation for that. But when I reviewed this series originally, I enjoyed reviewing this series. I love talking about every single bit related to this series, originally about 5 years ago. And last thing I officially reviewed for the series was the one-shot chapter. I was originally planning on reviewing the light novels they released here, which I do own them. The Fear Not Your Own World. Great books. The only problem is these books are freaking long. Like, the second book is like over 400 freaking pages. One of the longest books I've read. Now you're probably thinking, Nick, just get on with it. Talk about the damn episode already. The episode was really good. Now here's the strange thing about it. I originally heard that the episode actually would come out today. And then, of course, it was announced by Johnny and Bosch. It came out yesterday. So, I was planning to watch it yesterday. Didn't happen, so watch it now. So, the episode opens with these, like, sprites just basically just dispersing. Now, this episode does have the debut of the main villain of this particular arc, Reach. Now, I was kind of hoping, based on how I read the manga, in case you're curious though, I have technically reviewed this arc already. The manga version. I basically, at the time, was reviewing on a website that still technically exists, though apparently threw in a lot of swear words in the damn thing. But this one, not necessarily. I don't think, I'm reviewing, I read it recently, these chapters, on the Weekly Shonen Jump app. The same app I used to review my chapters for One Piece, Boruto, My Hero Academia, Hunter x Hunter, basically any other manga review. The only two I don't review on here because they're on different stuff, different company, is Black Butler and I think The Gray Man. Yes. So, basically, before I talk more about the episode officially adapts from chapter 480. It also adapts basically 41, just pages 4 through 19. There's basically 2 pages featuring a character who doesn't appear in the episode. It's basically one of the Vizards. It's a brief 2-page thing. I'm not surprised they cut it. And it was also just the only thing they cut here. What was the page 3? Just the title of the chapter. That's basically it. They also have chapters 42, 43, and 44. Now, they do start out basically with, we have the captain of squad, I think this is 12. This is Mayuri. Yes, I had to look in the Wiki site in order to remember his name because I remember what the character looks like. I kept forgetting this guy's name. This actually was one captain. I kept forgetting the guy's name. Yes, so he basically is once again Now, the weird thing about this guy is he loves changing his headdress. Like every story he pops up and it's a completely different hairstyle. It's him. He's weird. And for some reason, his daughter, No, does not appear in this. Nemu, who is an artificial gi guy. That's how I kind of was explained with her. She is not appearing in this episode. His third seat does. I'm not going to spoil what happens with him. Well, by the way, he does not die in this arc. But there is something happens here. So they notice Hollows disappearing. Yes, Hollows, which I love how the anime does this. And I gotta praise the fact they waited to just now to animate this scene, because I don't know if this opening sequence would have fit in the original style. It probably wouldn't have aged very well in the original style they used when the series ended 10 years ago. But I love the look of this. It looks beautiful. And of course, they show an elevator going down, and they come to like this strategy room in the research department, which technically is Squad 12. Yeah, they're basically the research department. That's basically what the department's meant for. And technically, in a way, Missouri is actually the third captain seen in the series. There is the original captain who actually does appear in this arc. That I will spoil. The the previous captain for Yorichi, or I think his name is I'm trying to think of his name here. Let me take a look here. He preceded Maoria as the captain of this particular squad. He actually left because of the events of a flashback story arc. Let's see. It was Kitsuke. Yes, Kitsuke. Yeah, it was Kitsuke. He actually, well, he was the previous head, and before him was a woman named Kiro. Yeah, it was a woman. Yeah, that's who pretty much in a way was the person who was like, how should I put this? She was the previous captain. Now, in case you're curious though, was there any other recorded captain of this particular, aside from Kitsuke and Kiro? No. There was no official person who was part of this particular group. Yeah, they never actually really explained of who wanted to proceed or who the actual original captain was of this particular group. So, I have pointed out there. So you notice the Hollows is appearing across the world, and they expect that they are responsible for it. Who? I'll get to that. So then we cut to the real world. Now there's actually a slight change here. They actually debuted 2 new Soul Reapers here. It was it is a guy named Zanoski. He was the official Soul Reaper of Katakuri Town, but he had to take a break because he had a back injury. And Rukia was temporarily filling in for him. And of course, they mentioned this episode of Ichigo. The other 2 are Renosuke and Shino. They're a male and female duo. So apparently their job is patrol the town. And supply they might not need the help of the subsistence. They basically just wander about. Risuke gets bored. And then he gets sacked by a freaking Hollow. Yes. He ends up being chased by the damn thing across a bridge. Ends up doing some damage. Some basically public damage. Damaging, like, traffic lights. Damaging a building. And eventually gets to the roof, where he tried to contact Shino. But it turns out she's close to death by 3 other Hollows. And then he gets hit once, and he's basically spilling blood. Yeah, this is a lot more bloodier than the original thing. So, it seems like he's about to get killed, and then Chad shows up, basically punch the damn thing. Yes, Chad finally shows up. Now, I did hear a rumor they were going to change his dub actor, but from the sound of his voice, it seems like they have not changed his dub actor. No, not really. Not that I saw, no. Of course, also, they did confirm that, I'm sorry about the, I'm sorry. Okay, so they confirmed that Derek said Prince is basically, they confirmed him come back as Uru, which that pretty true. Ichigo was still voiced by the awesome Johnny Bosch. Stephanie C voices Orihime. And as for Chad, originally he was voiced by Jefferson Price. That was his second voice actor for a long time. They actually did replace him with Alan Messia. Yeah, that is the current guy portraying him. And apparently they wanted somebody who was Cuban. Now you probably think, okay, what about Jameson Price? For some reason, he wasn't asked to replace his character. I don't really know why. Just that he wasn't. Don't know. The original voice actor was Mark Warden. The weird thing about Chad is apparently he's gone through 3 voice actors in 300 plus episodes of the series. Don't know why though. He's the start of the series. Why would he go through more than one voice actor? It's quite strange. And of course, everybody shows up, does their particular moves. Or Hime does her little fairy thing that she basically had from far back in season 1, which apparently looked like she's basically fully, somewhat mastered per se. And we see Uru where he's firing his spirit arrows. And they all basically deal with the hollows. And then the other two get very much like they're unconscious. And then Renosuke wakes up 2 days later in Ichigo's bedroom. It's like, good, you're awake. Now get out. Yeah. And according to Ichigo, he thought, of course, Renosuke thought it was like just the day prior. Turns out he's basically been out for 2 days. Yeah. So then Orihime shows up with all the bread. And it's implied, though, that apparently Ichigo likes the bread that Orihime brings him. Implying more possible romance between the two of them, which the ending did confirm that. So they'll eat the bread, and of course he tells the guy to get a Gigai body. He's like, Gigai? He apparently has no idea who the heck Ichigo is. This is the first time he's met him, which, yes, this is basically pulled straight from the manga. And of course catches his name, and then a guy dressed in white with a part of a hollow mask on his face shows up on Ichigo's bed. This is Espen. That's the guy's name. And Ichigo asks, who are you and get off my bed? That's basically tells him. I'm sorry. I said, who are you and get off my bed? He's like, he explains who he is. And then he gives a freaking drop kick out the window. So freaking drop kick. And then he basically takes out his Subsu Soul Reaper badge, goes to his Soul Reaper form, by the way, we do see in this scene, before I continue here, in case you're curious though, for the opening fight sequence you see in the episode, we have Ichigo and his friends taking the hollows. Do we hear that famous song that they constantly play whenever he basically wins the battle? Yes. I was so happy to hear that. And thank you, Viz Media, for making sure that was in. Because that's an awesome song, and I love it. So he chased him down. Before I continue here, let's cut to the Soul Society. Where we have, get this, we have 2 members from Squad 11 appear in this episode. Yes, just 2. We have Ikaku and Yamachiya. Yeah, where they basically investigate the Rukon district. I believe this is where Rukia and Renji are from. Where apparently the whole village just disappeared. And apparently they were all abducted. And then we cut to seeing the captain of the captain commander, Yamamoto, just relax in his office. And then we hear somebody knocking, and then we see a Soul Reaper get decapitated by the Warren Reach. Who the heck are these guys? They're Quincy's. Yes, they are Quincy's. I've heard of these guys as the evil Quincy's. That's simply put what these guys are, evil Quincy's. So, and then of course they proceed to stab Yamamoto's lieutenants. By the way, this guy barely appears in the series, and he gets freaking stabbed in the heart. Yes, making probably the same character get stabbed like this. And then, they leave, and of course they declare war on him, and of course they leave, and then he reveals to him a secret for them. That they have the ability to steal Bankai. Yes. And that ends this whole side. Meanwhile, let's go back to the whole thing with Ichigo and Espen. They proceed to have their fight, and of course they chase around the city with beautiful sequences. It seems like basically that they gave more budget to this episode. It seems like the budget for this episode was similar to the budget they used for the movies. which high praise for Para for doing that. And of course, Ichigo goes Bankai form, and of course, the guy uses this device to steal his Bankai, and part of it is taken, but not all of it. So, and of course, it ends up breaking and burning his arm, and he proceeds to go back to the headquarters. But they actually do not show the outside of this place, so they show the interior, where they proceed to squabble. Of course, Essa basically is there bowing, like, oh, you bowing to me? No. And they proceed to have, and the guy who's chastising him proceeds to have his arm chopped, which this actually is a change, because in the manga it was his right arm, in the anime it was his left arm, and the person that did it was Yanreach. Yep. And tell him, yeah, stop, don't scoff my presence, because I don't like conflict. And he's like, oh, time to prepare for the battle for peace. And that was the episode. Gotta admit, this was a great episode. I loved it. Yes. As someone who's basically a Bleach man now for 5 years, I love it. Yes. Now, before I end this, I have to basically talk about how Bleach fans are treated by other fandoms. I may be a fan of Bleach. I'm not part of the Bleach fandom. I have never been part of any major fandom per se, because, well, I have no major interest in getting involved with them. I'll talk to people about this stuff, but I'm not joining a fandom. The reason why? Because it tends to get toxic. And I've heard this, the worst I heard about this was with Star Wars, where there was at one point several years ago where there was a civil war in the fandom where fans were fighting each other. And also, some fans were bullying each other over liking Last Jedi, or daring to like that movie. Now, the reputation Bleach fans have is not exactly fighting each other. It's how other communities treat them, where they're treated as second-class citizens, where, like, they think the Bleach fans are basically very stupid and can be very violent. It's like there's a false reputation that they have, which, from what I've heard from people who actually know people who are Bleach fans, this is completely untrue. And one good example of how badly the Bleach fans are treated is having not in a death battle where Naruto beats Ichigo. Yep, he beats Ichigo in a very lazy fashion. The only other fandom I've heard that gets a lot of flack for daring to like the particular series, aside from Bleach, is the fans of Fairy Tail. Or people outside of it call it freaking garbage. In my opinion, they're full of bullcrap and they do not know what anime they're freaking watching. It's not really the same thing with Bleach per se, but the Bleach fans do get disrespected in the Bleach. And some people dare to assume that Bleach was never part of the Holy Trinity of the 2000s. Like, it's like the redheaded stepchild for people. Like, because Bleach is part of this Holy Trinity with the 2000s, we'll share with Naruto and One Piece. Some people claim the current Trinity is made up of My Hero Academia, Black Clover, and Demon Slayer. But Demon Slayer has since ended. The series that might be taking its place, I think it might be Jujutsu Kaisen. Possibly, yes. But I'm not really sure per se. But as for anybody who doesn't like Bleach, fine. If you don't like the series, fine. Just don't criticize people who like the series. That is by far wrong. For daring to like something. I like a bunch of anime. Bleach is not my favorite anime. It's not my only anime I watch. I watch a bunch of anime. So, get what you will. I'm happy the series is back and we're finally adapting this stuff. Now, with this episode here, with this arc being approximately, because it starts 480, wraps up with chapter 684, there was overall about 225 chapters overall for this whole entire arc. It's like one of the longest arcs of the whole series. With this episode in particular, since it went to episode 84, which is roughly almost about 5 full chapters. So, with this episode in particular, We have exactly 220 episodes left to go to be adapted for this whole series. And that's it. Do I think they might get the epilogue? It's possible. I'm hoping they also get to adapting the light novels that come right after the conclusion of this series. I think that'll be a brilliant touch on the part of Studio Pierrot to take those light novels and adapt them. They did it for Naruto Shippuden for its last special season, adapting some of its light novels up. Not all of them, but a few of them, which is good in that part. But yeah, not much else to say of this episode. And some of you might be thinking, Nick, this is almost as long as your Chainsaw Man review, because a lot to talk about. That's mainly the reason why it's so freaking long. Okay? So, sorry it's so long, but I had a lot to talk about related to outside Bleach and in Bleach itself. I had to discuss this up because this is a good platform to discuss it. Okay, so that's the episode review. Next is going to be Comic Corner, and then be on to the OVA of Mushoku Tensei. Okay, next video. Bye.